Can you hear me?
He always said I was a better person than I knew I was.
Hey folks, let's spend some time with some friends up north. I'm Ben Cominos from WHBY in Appleton. Joining us from WCPT in Chicago is Patty Vasquez. And from the Minocqua Brewing Company, here's Kirk Bankstead. We've got the usual suspects from our Substack page with us, as well as a special guest or two. Wherever you are, welcome, you're up north.
Is joining us right now. So I hope I sound, there's too much going on. Too many buttons to push. There's Ben Cominos, Kirk Bankstead, whatever we call him now. Hey, Kirk, take it away.
All right. How doing, everyone? We've just hornswoggled. That's a word that I learned as a kid in the Midwest. We hornswoggled our way into Patty Vasquez's radio show at WCPT in Chicago. And we've got here Ben Cominos, as usual, from WHBY in Appleton. And I'm here actually in Eau Claire today, believe it or not. So not Minocqua, not Madison.
Really?
I am. Let's talk about, we got a packed show today. It's probably so packed that Ben and Patty looked at our notes. We're like, this is about as meaty as it gets. We're going to talk, we got 4 segments today. The first segment's going to be all about whether we think there's war profiteering. We know there's war profiteering going on in the Iran war, insider trading in the Trump regime. The second segment's going to be what happens when FEMA doesn't help, when Trump doesn't allow FEMA to help when we have emergencies, especially in crazy storms in Wisconsin like we had last week. The third segment's going to be a repeat of the rotating villain theory, which Ben and I talked about on Tuesday. Talks a little bit about Democrats somehow never getting enough people in the Democratic Party to pass big things, and there might be a reason for that. And in the fourth segment, we're going to be talking about a new general strike fund that's going to help us strike and boycott if and when Trump steals our elections. So, first of all, Patty, So the question for this first segment are people in the Trump regime making stock trades or doing
yes.
Before major announcements happen and they make tons of money. We got Sam back here, and he's got a bunch of slides that suggest that this is happening. But Sam, can you give us the first slide? And Patty, can you give us some of the history that show that this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to pull up I have so many docs I have to pull up. I'm just trying to catch up with.
All right, let me say. Let me do the first. Okay, you got it. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. It looks like I'm looking at last week's docs. Oh my goodness gracious! Yes, go ahead. You ahead. Right, I'll catch up.
So, on April 9th, you remember when Trump said that he was the Liberation Day tariff pause. He was pausing the tariffs. So before he announced this 90-day pause on the tariffs, the futures, the S&P 500 futures jumped to over 10,000 contracts per minute, up from hundreds earlier in the day. The S&P gained 9.5%, its third largest single-day gain since World War II. So some traders bet over $2 million during 7 straight days of losses. Potential profit for some of these people who somehow knew that the tariffs were going to be lifted right before they were, made them $20 million. Sam, let's go to the next slide. So the next slide here is we found an X thing that says the poly market. So these are the markets that people bet on to see if things are going to happen or not, like the betting on the future. 6 poly market accounts created in February bet on a U.S. strike by the 28th, an Iran strike. When the strikes were confirmed, those accounts won $1.2 million between them. Those 5 people placed no further bets in the poly market, which is the futures market. That's another thing. Next slide, my friend. Now we're going to talk about oil. On March 9th, 2026, massive bets were placed on oil prices falling. 47 minutes before Trump posted that confirming that the Iranian situation was resolved, oil drops 25% when he announced this. The traders who placed those early bets 47 minutes ahead of time made millions of dollars. Finally, on March the 23rd, Sam, give me the next slide. March 23rd, we got right before Trump posted something on Truth Social, he trading spiked. It's like 11 o'clock here. Trading spiked. It said like minutes before the price of oil again fell dramatically as soon as Trump posted. You see those little skyscrapers before. Those people knew that Trump was going to make an announcement that dropped prices dramatically and people made millions. So Ben, talk to me about what you just learned. What do we need to do about it? What can Democrats do about obvious insider trading happening in the Trump regime? People making money off of war and death.
Well, what sucks about this, Kirk, is that this is so different than traditional insider trading that it's almost difficult to do something about it, because this isn't the first time that somebody has profited off of war. Why it's different is no president has more than 1 day of stock trading under their belt where stock shifted 1,000 points in the Dow Jones for one reason or another. Trump has over 10, 9 of which are all as a result of announcements about tariffs and announcements about either war or lack thereof. So the reason this feels so obvious compared to the other stuff, and the reason why there's almost nothing you can do about it outside of straight up banning all congressional individuals and political individuals from owning stocks in general, the reason this is so hard to combat is we have never seen such an obvious 24-hour turnaround compared to the traditional year and a half down the road. You see these same kind of gains. This is, I announce tariffs one day to tank it, I take it back the next day, everybody says Taco Trump, it laughs at me, and we all get rich. And that's why it's so much more difficult to combat compared to what we're used to dealing with.
But I feel like this was the warning all along, right? And I guess because it wasn't at this level before, but this was the warning every step of the way. And, they removed all the guardrails, because when you look at it, right, it was 47 minutes before Trump confirms that the Iran situation is resolved, where massive bets were placed on failing oil. And the people who placed those bets made millions. How do you bet on something 47 minutes before the public knows? You don't guess on that. And the other thing is, like, some of the volume, there was a normal volume for the 2 minutes, right? At 6:49 a.m., traders dump the equivalent of 6 million barrels of crude in 2 minutes, which is 9 times normal volume in 126 seconds, right? 15 minutes later, Trump posts, and then oil crashes. I mean, like, it is, as Ben was saying, the absolute, I guess, the just without any sort of shit, not even shame. I don't even know what the words are for it. Just blatant and not caring. And nobody, and MAGA doesn't blink an eye. There's never going to be any sort of accountability.
And even more so, what we also know is the White House sent an internal email to its staff saying not to use insider information to place bets in the prediction markets. Well, guess who's on the board of one of these prediction markets, called Kashi and Poly Market Advisory Board? Donald Trump Jr. He's on the board of the of these prediction markets, and so it's obvious this is happening. Unfortunately, you need the Department of Justice to be a functioning Department of Justice to look into this. You need the FBI to be a functioning FBI to try to stop this, and you don't. So I think all we can do is we just got to keep shining a light on it, and at some point, the working class, the MAGA working class, are going to get pretty disgusted that people are just making millions off of war that they don't even want as well. So I guess, to me, all we got to do is just keep talking about it. But it is the height of corruption.
That's also talking about it, Kirk, is part of it as well. And I think we'd be remiss if we didn't highlight that CNN and Kalshi have partnered together. So what kind of coverage are we going to get from the new Trump-aligned CNN that is giving you Kalshi statistics with their polling data, allowing you to make predictions? Do we think we're going to get unfettered news? I doubt it. So, I mean, you're not going to get it on Fox, obviously. Now you have to question what you're getting on CNN. I think it's only a matter of time before one of these partners with any of the other big ones. And it's going to be a matter of the more independent operations talking about it. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't trust any of these other operations too.
Just imagine a journalist, before he actually writes the story, because he's got the first scoop, he places a bet because he knows he's got the first scoop on he's heard this first, and he's not gonna let out the information until he places his bet, and then he's gonna write about the information.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, it seems like we're entering a world of hurt, and it seems like anybody who's sane, that's not on the inner circle of journalism or government, would not bet on the prediction markets, because how do you win when other people know the answers before you?
Well, and then what we do cover, or the news that we are getting, it's so bonkers, right? Every step of the way, it's we had to attack them, even though he said previously that they had decimated the entire nuclear program. I mean, it's so erratic that but the madness of it is that it probably is also calculated madness.
100%.
Right? It's
100%.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to parse through that. And you know what the worst part is, and then I'll let us get to break, is that MAGA was ready to pull out all the freaking string and the cork board, and they were like, oh, Nancy Pelosi invested in NVIDIA, and then NVIDIA started making, and like, I do think there's validity to that. Sure. And then it's like Donald Trump Jr. bought a drone company, and then a bunch of drones got bought, and MAGA's like, I can't figure this one out. We'll never know if this was fraud or not. Like, come on.
Yeah. And that doesn't even account for the massive amounts of profit being made by the military contracts.
Oh yeah.
Now you have to create a whole new supply line of artillery. Anyway, at any rate, we are talking all things with the Up North podcast. We're joined by our fearless leader, Kirk Bangstead, the owner, the creator of Monaco Brewing Company. Go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com. Also, please subscribe to our Substack so you can support the work that we all do there, including Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY. And you can also watch his show streaming on YouTube. Please consider being a paid subscriber to Monaco Brewing Company Substack, where you can get some perks, because we have an announcement coming up about our new schedule with Monaco Brewing Company. So more in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here. We'll be right back.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of the money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of Progressive Beer. The Monaco Brewing Company sells Progressive Beer all throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and online to about 30 states. Never seen it? That's likely because we've been banned by distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy Progressive Beer, go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click the Retail Locations tab. That's MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click Retail Locations. We get it. Your liver is under constant attack. Alcohol is a dictator that takes away your freedom. It distracts while doing its dirty work. It weakens your judicial system and governing bodies. If you give it too much power, you'll never be the same. We have the solution. 8647 THC Hop Water. Zero alcohol, 0 calories, tastes like patriotism. 8647 THC Hop Water. Liberate your liver. Buy 8647 THC Hop Water and Joint Session, our THC Orange Cooler, by going to thc.monoclebrewingcompany.com. That's thc.monoclebrewingcompany.com. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Monocle Brewing Company, who sells progressive beer online across the country. If you like the show today, please consider buying one of our beer subscription packages for yourself or a loved one. You can subscribe to the Democrat, the Liberal, and the Progressive, which delivers four packs of beer to your door for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. To find where you can subscribe to get progressive beer delivered to your door every month, go to monoclebrewingcompany.com and click Progressive Beer. That's monoclebrewingcompany.com and click Progressive Beer. The Monocle Brewing Company is excited to partner with Brouhaha Coffee to create woke coffee. Get woke, go broke. That's what they say, right? Au contraire, mon frère. This gourmet coffee was awarded 2025 Roast of the Year at the Coffee Break Festival in Wisconsin, and it comes in both medium and dark roasts. Support our political action and enjoy fabulous coffee at the same time. For our Up North podcast listeners, go to the monoclemarketplace.com, find coffee under the beverage tab, and type in Up North to get 10% off your order. That's monoclemarketplace.com and use the promo code UPNORTH.
WCPT from TuneIn.
I think that's the first time I nailed it. Me and Sam said 10 at the exact same time. We're back with the Up North podcast, broadcasting here on WCPT 820, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're joined by Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY, and also, of course, our fearless leader, Kirk Bangstead. Take it away, Kirk.
Okay, so Wisconsin is where I'm coming from and where Ben's coming from, but I got a feeling Patty got some pretty rough weather in Chicago last week too. It seemingly probably went through the Midwest. I'm certain.
Oh yeah.
So
not like you guys.
We got. I had a manager in Madison. One of our taproom manager, whose windshield was busted by baseball-sized hail. I was driving within 3 football fields of a tornado that actually touched down. I posted that on Facebook. We've seen pictures of where Ben, Outagamie County, where Ben lives, completely underwater. The town of Shiocton is completely flooded, all the way down to Milwaukee. And this comes on the heels. Last August, Milwaukee was flooded worse than it's ever been. I mean, in modern history. And there is a problem because usually when these things happen across the country, FEMA steps in, which is a federal agency, and they step in and millions of dollars are provided to the states to fix the stuff that's broken. That's the way we're used to it. That's the way it's always happened since I've been around. And this is not happening anymore because it's become political. Trump decides whether or not to give to states based on whether or not they're bending the knee to him or not. Ben, can you give us some more detail into this? And Sam, can you put up the graph?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight also that coming here from the Fox Valley, it really has been beautiful to see when you can't trust the government to do what's necessary, the people kind of come together in a way that they're filling sandbags, doing the things, helping one another out. So there is something good on a personal level, I think, that is the very least to highlight in regards to what we're talking about here. Is that chart going to go up? Okay, there we go. This is what we're talking about here. 20% of the acceptable Democratic requests are coming through FEMA right now, compared to about closer to 90%. It was 80% last month, which goes to show you how much it's changing for Republican states. You could call this a coincidence, but I think anybody with a couple of IQ points to rub together know that that's absolutely not the case. And like where this story ticks me off the most is I remember in July of 2024, I was at EAA, which is a flight thing up in Oshkosh. 600,000 people show up. It's a really cool event. And I had MAGA callers. I was doing my normal show, and they call me and they say, Ben, there's floods in New York, and Joe Biden's FEMA isn't giving any money, or excuse me, in North Carolina, and Joe Biden's FEMA isn't giving the funds to North Carolina. I dove into the story that night because I wouldn't ignore it if that were the case. And it turns out there was a rogue agent, one woman, just an underling, who was ignoring MAGA requests, but it was not a directive from the government. That woman was fired the next day, and everyone acted like it was a scandal for the next week and a half. And now we have a fairly concerted effort. You do not see 20% of orders go fulfilled unintentionally. And this is happening with relative silence, especially in right wing media. And I don't see a whole lot of it in the mainstream national narrative either.
No.
So, yeah, go for it, Patty.
No. I was just saying, you're right. I remember that was like the big, and not just like that they weren't getting, that Biden wasn't paying, but you remember they were also saying that Biden was controlling the weather.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Chemtrails.
Yes. Yeah, they were
I still
targeting
say
them.
that. I still say that when the weather's bad. I'm like, those rascally Democrats in this snow in April. Like, I still lean into that joke.
Yep. Go ahead, Kirk. I just wanted to point that
All
out.
right.
Yep.
Okay, you brought it up. I'm going to finish it because Marjorie Taylor Greene, we actually made a fake can of beer called Space Lasers.
That's right.
She blamed Jewish space lasers for causing fires in California. That might have been the craziest one. So another couple stats here is that it on average takes blue state FEMA requests 80 days average to process. It takes red states 39 days to process. $250 million in disaster aid has been blocked from blue states. Every president since Reagan approved at least 67% requests from Democratic-led states. So it's wild. It's a wild. It's wild what's happening on a basic level. And so the answer, what do you do about this? At least until 2028, I think states have to start, especially blue states, have to start figuring out how to fend for ourselves. And the good thing is that there is model legislation in to do that. Massachusetts, God bless them, they know they're not getting anything from Trump. I mean, it's like the bluest state in the union. They established in 2025, a state level disaster fund. Minnesota, 2024, enacted automatic surplus transfers to a state disaster assistance contingency fund. The Pew Charitable Trusts in 2026, quote, disaster resilience will increasingly hinge on state action, an uneven safeguard considering the current strains that state budgets are facing. Ben, what do you think about this?
I'll tell you what, a lot of those statistics are pretty damning, Kirk, when you hear it kind of laid out like that in terms of how previous presidents have operated. Like I said, it's the one beautiful thing, not being surrounded by small town Midwest for most of my life. It's a very unique standard. I've been up here for 3.5 years, and I still don't know I've necessarily gotten used to it. We're at a point right now where it feels like we're all we got until a future reference. And I think the worst part about it is I can't even imagine what it's like in a real blue state, like where Patty is, because I often refer to Wisconsin as the prettiest girl at the ball. Everybody wants our vote. I'm surprised we're not getting every single FEMA dollar we ask for all the time, because they need us in 26. We got Tom Tiffany coming up, and they need us in 28. And so it's going to be touch and go here, but especially in election years, I think we'll get what we want. It's the real blue states that I feel for in these moments that are going to need to come together.
I've said this before, MAGA seems to think that, that socialists are going to destroy everything, regardless of what they say about us, wanting to eliminate us. I had one post that every Democrat should have a weight tied around their neck and sunk, basically drown us all. And yet here we are. I worry about the people who live in rural areas who are more vulnerable to tornadoes, to all the elements of nature. And they are the ones who voted in bigger numbers for this. So, and that means that people in Illinois outside of the areas that tend to be blue, when they get hit, they're going to get punished. And it's a shame that they bought into this crap.
Okay, so there's a couple of other things. I mean, in Wisconsin, Evers has been sitting on like a $2.5 billion surplus for the entirety of his two 4-year periods of being governor, because the Republicans won't let him spend it. They want to wait until they get a governor to be able to spend it on whatever they want to spend it on. Evers is not talking to Democrats right now. I know this for a fact. I wish we had Senator Chris Larson on today, because he will confirm that he's not talking to Democrats about how to spend that surplus. He wants to spend it before he leaves office to glorify his own tenure. What should be happening, if it's not going to public schools, it should be going to a disaster relief fund, because we're only going to get things are only going to get more harsh weather-wise in Wisconsin. And since we don't have necessarily anybody to back us up, that's exactly where our surplus should go. Patty?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I hope that he does the right thing for the people of Wisconsin. And also, I know we were talking a little bit about insurance, all the things. I'm so sorry that Wisconsin's going through this. I know you had a 1,000-year reign last year, and apparently it's been 1,000 years since last year, and that sounds about right. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll continue the Up North podcast with Kirk Bankstead, the fearless leader of Monaco Brewing Company. Go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com, and please consider being a paid subscriber to our Substack, Monaco Brewing Company. Of course, Outside the Box with WHBY is Ben Cominos. More after this.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of our progressive t-shirts. The Monaco Brewing Company sells t-shirts to supplement our beer sales because we've been banned by beer distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy our t-shirts, go to MonacoMarketplace.com and go to apparel. For Up North podcast listeners, get 10% off on all of our merch by going to MonacoMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MonacoMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Monaco Marketplace, or what we like to call the Amazon for progressives. Every product sold on the Monaco Marketplace is made by a company that's pledged to never donate money to the MAGA movement. There's over 60 companies on our marketplace, and we sell everything from nuts to detergents to doormats. Save democracy with your wallet by shopping only at MonacoMarketplace.com. For Up North podcast listeners, save 10% on any order in the store by going to MonacoMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MonacoMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth. We get it. Your liver is under constant attack. Alcohol is a dictator that takes away your freedom. It distracts while doing its dirty work. It weakens your judicial system and governing bodies. If you give it too much power, you'll never be the same. We have the solution. 8647 THC Hop Water. Zero alcohol, 0 calories, tastes like patriotism. 8647 THC Hop Water. Liberate your liver. Buy 8647 THC Hop Water and Joint Session, our THC Orange Cooler, by going to thc.monacobrewingcompany.com. That's thc.monacobrewingcompany.com. The Monaco Brewing Company is excited to partner with Brouhaha Coffee to create woke coffee. Get woke, go broke. That's what they say, right? Au contraire, mon frère. This gourmet coffee was awarded 2025 Roast of the Year at the Coffee Break Festival in Wisconsin, and it comes in both medium and dark roasts. Support our political action and enjoy fabulous coffee at the same time. For our Up North podcast listeners, go to the MonacoMarketplace.com, find coffee under the beverage tab, and type in Up North to get 10% off your order. That's MonacoMarketplace.com and use the promo code UpNorth.
Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive
Patty frozen?
WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Oh, did you guys need me to let you know 10?
Hey, how you guys
Back to the Up
doing?
North podcast. There's a lot going on here today. At any rate, we're up with the Up North podcast featuring Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box. And you can find his work, of course, on Monaco Brewing Company's Substack. Please consider being a paid subscriber to support the work that we all do there. Yeah, I do need more. That's not going to happen. So anyway, Kirk said, take it away, our fearless leader.
Okay, so this third segment, I wanted to talk about it again. Ben and I talked about it on Tuesday. He wrote about it on Tuesday as well. I wanted to talk about it again because we take a lot of snippets from this podcast and we put it all over our socials. And I want progressives to hear this message and to think about it. So this segment's about it's called the rotating villain theory. I'm going to ask Ben to explain it in a second, but the news that spurred Ben to talk about it was in the dark of night last week, a bill that was tried to actually block. I think Bernie Sanders, brought the bill up to block $300 million going to Israel to fund bulldozers being sent in to not only bulldoze Gaza that's already been bombed, but bulldoze the rest of the city. 7 Democrats joined with Republicans to pass that bill. Which is absolutely opposite of a huge majority of the Democratic Party does not want to be funding Israel to keep bombing Iran and the genocide going on in Gaza. So 7 Democrats voted for it. Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, Chris Coons of Delaware, Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada. We've got Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Kirsten Gillibrand, and Chuck Schumer of New York, and of course, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. 7 Democrats voted for that. Another thing that passed in the dark of night was the Democrats once again tried to pass the War Powers Act, which is already passed in the Constitution, but they wanted to just kind of double down on it to say the president can't declare war. It's a function of Congress. And so they wanted to take their powers back. They almost were able to win, but one Democratic Representative Golden out of Maine was the Democratic representative that blocked that War Powers Act from passing. It's crazy how Democrats sometimes do this, and just enough of them do it to be able to stop the things that most of the Democrats want and are screaming for. It's called the rotating villain theory. And Ben, tell us what that means.
Yeah, it's just a basic principle. This is something near and dear to my heart. It's actually what my demo was about that got me the job up here in Appleton. So I've been talking about this for quite a bit. It's uncanny how often it feels like there's always just enough Democrats to prevent positive things or prevent positive things or push through negative things, whatever that may be. And what's crazy is, if this were a MAGA podcast, you could be like, oh, if only John McCain hadn't put the thumbs down. Like, there's always that one senator that seems to get in the way of something that is viewed as an objectively positive thing. The very famous examples, and the one I gave to you during the podcast, Kirk, Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin worked to block the child tax credit. We took half of kids that were in poverty, took them out of poverty, and instead of being a normal nation that would say, oh, let's double that and get all the kids out of poverty, we had 2 Democrats side with all the Republicans and say, nah, never mind, let's just put those kids back in poverty. Whether you're talking about that, being able to negotiate drug prices, raising the minimum wage. Then, as you go backwards, you have the force the vote conversation back in 2018 when Democrats got the House. You have Joe Lieberman blocking the expansion of Medicaid. You have Rockefeller blocking the use of reconciliation in order to vote for a public option for Obamacare. There was supposed to be a government option associated with Obamacare in 2010 to operate as a catch-all. We do not have that because of the rotating villain idea. And you even see recurring names like Dianne Feinstein and Chuck Schumer for different government-related issues back then. And mark my words, there was the FISA votes, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act vote at 2:09 last Thursday evening. It ended up failing by 1 vote, but all that did was push it till April 30th. They have a new deadline, April 30th. Mark my words, 4 Democrats in the House are all of a sudden going to find their compromising spirit, and that is going to be pushed through for another 5 years. And it's just time and time again, and we got to find these people. Sometimes when it's like Jared Golden of Maine, who announced his retirement, like Joe Manchin, like Kirsten Sinema, like Joe Lieberman in 2009, they announced their retirement right before they end up doing this kind of stuff. But the Chuck Schumers and Dianne Feinsteins that hang around for 12 more years, yeah, they got to go. Obviously, Dianne Feinstein's out of the question right now. Handled that one, but they got to go if we're going to do anything about it here.
Patty.
Yeah, look, in Illinois, people think of Illinois as having a supermajority with the Democrats. What we also have had for a long time, I think you might be familiar with this, is institutional corruption. I don't know if you know that our former Speaker of the House has been in jail. The Exelon bribed allies of Speaker Madigan to pass a utility bailout bill worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and Democrats ran Springfield. So nobody, and then there's a pension reform that everyone talks about. It has to be fixed. Yet we've had Democrats with a supermajority, and for years it's been stated as a top priority of nearly every session. We try to pass a fair tax. Democrats couldn't get it done, and currently they still can't get a millionaire's tax. Okay, I'll give you an example to the rotating villain. The villain thing is that I was in the press box back in 2015. We had 3 Democrats. This exact thing. 3 Democrats voted against a millionaire tax that would have helped fund our public education, and it was Duncan. Gosh, I used to know this. Drury, Duncan, and Franks voted against it, and for reasons I don't want to go into right now because it makes me swear.
Yeah, and
then people get upset with people like us talking this way, because this only works if literally every single Republican votes against the betterment of society. Like, it takes 2 Democrats and the entire Republican Party. And then people get mad and they say, you're more mad at these 2 Democrats than you are the entire Republican Party. It's like, well, I didn't vote for them. Like I can't do anything about them. I can't speak for them. It's the people that I expect to actually be the adults in the room, the people doing the right thing. California earlier this week blocked single payer. Gavin Newsom wants to run for president. He can't even get his freaking assembly and Senate to get the obvious liberal. If anyone running in 2028 isn't saying Medicare for all, I just don't know how we take these people seriously at this point.
It's an obvious. If you need money to, I mean, it should be obvious for everybody. Campaigns run on money, and you need campaign contributions to often flood the airwaves and win. And that's why it's almost so amazing that Mamdani, the socialist mayor in New York City, and Governor Hochul, which I always mispronounce, they both seemingly work together to pass this millionaire's tax on second homes, which was something, and they're doing some sort of like universal healthcare thing too. So we're seeing that it can be done with the right people, with the right leaders. But we're also seeing how it's not the Democratic versus the Republican Party. It's the uniparty that cares about rich people more than they care about the working class, and both parties are affected by it. And we have to focus on growing our voices that people are listening to on all of our channels, as well as the voices that Ben and Patty individually and everybody else that is really talking the progressive talk, because we have to overpower the money being spent, or else we're never going to get what we all need in order to make our country work better.
And I don't think it can go without saying, in most other states, Mamdani doesn't win, not because he's a socialist, but because New York has public campaign financing. They don't get the outside donations. Tax dollars, even amounts of tax dollars, go to anybody who wants to run, so that you don't have to be a rich person or have rich friends to run, and you get a set amount of dollars, and then it's made the best policy win. And he mopped the floor with everybody. Can you get away with that in Wisconsin the way the rules work right now? Probably not.
And not in Illinois either. One of the things that I learned when I ran for office was that that 30% of our now electeds in Springfield started out as appointees. We do not have special elections for state vacancies, so people can within their circle go and then just with their friends, their chief of staff, the vice president of their organization, the neighborhood and then that somebody they can also, when you were talking about Evers wanting to protect his legacy that's how he's going to spend the $2.5 billion. That's the same thing that legislators and committee people do here in Illinois, is sort of shape the legislature in some ways the way they envision things. And that includes, voting against policies that could help people across the state of Illinois.
Yeah, It's imperative, and this governor's race is gonna make it or break it for Wisconsin as well. And just like Ben says, unless we do something quickly, and unless people see us lead, they're gonna just once again fall by the wayside and disappear for a decade because they'll just think that government doesn't work. Ben.
Which is fundamentally the message that Republicans try, like they sabotage government so they can turn around and say, see, government doesn't work for you. And the fact of the matter is, I realize like we have an actual primary for Democrats in Wisconsin, whereas there's just one conservative. But Patty said she deactivated Twitter. I'm still on there because I hate myself. And Tom Tiffany is splattered all over this thing, and not just ads, like random Trash Party USA members and stuff like that talking about him, and it's kind of unavoidable. So they're trying to build a groundswell now. Whether or not people are falling for it, another question entirely. But they're definitely trying to get it out there while we're kind of meandering.
So we are broadcasting the Up North podcast and featuring Monaco Brewing Company's fearless leader, Kirk Bangstead. Please consider being a paid subscriber to our Monaco Brewing Company Substack, where we have featured work from Ben Cominos, Kirk Bangstead. I write a Mocha Monday column every single week, and we have new programming to share with you soon that's for paid subscribers. So please visit the website as well, MonacoBrewingCompany.com. And we are going to be back in just a few moments on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM at 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're so glad that you're all here. And this is exactly 45 right here.
Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of the money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of Progressive Beer. The Monaco Brewing Company sells Progressive Beer all throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, and online to about 30 states. Never seen it? That's likely because we've been banned by distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy Progressive Beer, go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click the Retail Locations tab. That's MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click Retail Locations. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Monaco Marketplace, or what we like to call the Amazon for progressives. Every product sold on the Monaco Marketplace is made by a company that's pledged to never donate money to the MAGA movement. There's over 60 companies on our marketplace, and we sell everything from nuts to detergents to doormats. Save democracy with your wallet by shopping only at MonacoMarketplace.com. For Up North podcast listeners, save 10% on any order in the store by going to MonacoMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MonacoMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth. The Up North podcast is sponsored by the Monaco Brewing Company, who sells Progressive Beer online across the country. If you like the show today, please consider buying one of our beer subscription packages for yourself or a loved one. You can subscribe to the Democrat, the Liberal, and the Progressive, which delivers four packs of beer to your door for 6 months, a year, or 2 years. To find where you can subscribe to get Progressive Beer delivered to your door every month, go to MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. That's MonacoBrewingCompany.com and click Progressive Beer. Believe it or not, this podcast takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make Kirk & Company look like they know what they're doing. And a lot of money that goes to pay our producers and editors comes from the sale of our Progressive t-shirts. The Monaco Brewing Company sells t-shirts to supplement our beer sales because we've been banned by beer distributors for our unapologetically progressive voice. To find where you can buy our t-shirts, go to MonacoMarketplace.com and go to Apparel. For Up North podcast listeners, get 10% off on all of our merch by going to MonacoMarketplace.com and typing in promo code UpNorth. That's MonacoMarketplace.com, promo code UpNorth.
So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
And we are back with the Up North podcast featuring Ben Cominos, the host of Outside the Box on WHBY. You can also watch his show live on YouTube. And if you've missed the shows, you can catch up there as well. And you can catch his work on Monaco Brewing Company Substack, where we feature writers, including Kirk Bangstead, Ben Cominos, a bunch of other guests as well. And we'll talk more about the paid subscription perks in a little bit. Here's Kirk Bangstead.
Okay, wait a second. Ben was talking to us during the break, and we got to let him tell a story before we go to general strike. Ben?
Yeah, I'm calling an audible because I had a feeling you guys hadn't seen this yet, and anybody who hasn't been up to date on this is the kind of stories you get when you hate yourself and you're on Twitter, is you know about this kind of stuff happening too. So this is a message from the White House less than 24 hours ago. A picture of 8 different incredibly beautiful women were posted online, allegedly by the government of Iran. And they're saying these are hostages that will be executed by midnight tonight unless we get these certain, capitulations. To which, from the White House page, it says, to the Iranian leaders who will soon be in negotiations with my representatives, I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. I'm sure we would respect the fact that you did so, right? 18 hours go by. Trump now posts from his True Social page earlier today. Very good news. I have just been informed that the 8 women protesters who were going to be executed tonight in Iran will no longer be killed. 4 are being released immediately, and 4 will be sentenced to 1 month in prison. It goes on from there. Caroline Levitt then went on Fox News and sang the praises of Donald Trump saving these 8 beautiful smoke show women from prison in Iran. All for it to turn out that they are AI. These are fake people. This has been a 24-hour completely made up story in an administration that is so backcrap crazy that we did 2 of the 3 of us didn't even know that it happened.
I'm looking at not only that, but I'm looking for it and can't find it anywhere.
This is what I'm saying. Look up Caroline Levitt on Fox News. I bet you could probably get a solid audio clip of it because she does like a big thing. If I were in my studio, I'd play it for you right now. It's unbelievable that they would do that. And you go and read the comments, and it's, first of all, it's like 50 bots all saying, we're so lucky we have this great president. And then everybody after that just being like, we're all on the same page. This is AI, right? We all know that this isn't real. I'll send you guys the stuff afterward. But if you guys listening have not heard this yet, follow along and go dunk on some dummies. I posted a video about it on my Facebook right now. Go check it out. It's a blast.
If it weren't so utterly terrifying that our leaders are so dumb, it is laughable, but it's still utterly terrifying.
But Kurt, 20% of these people are going to believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to go on the air tomorrow and some jag is going to call in and be like, how come you haven't talked about Trump saving the hostages yet? And then I'm just going to go crazy.
All right. While we could talk about AI women being released for the rest of the show, I want to make sure I got a couple things I want to leave with today because they're stuff that the Wisconsinites need to hear. First of all, May Day Strong is happening in a week and a half. Next, Saturday after this following Saturday. This is our first opportunity to do a structure test to see if we can no work, no school, no shopping, to see if we can actually organize enough to strike and to kind of leave the workforce. Patty, what else is happening? There's a map over here. Can you give us the rest of the lowdown?
Yeah, I mean, I know that I've been talking to some folks here in Chicago and throughout the country. There's a coalition of hundreds of organizations calling for no work, no school, no shopping. I do want to point out in Chicago, there's a big divide amongst Democrats as to whether or not kids should go to school, whether the teachers should be able to do this. But the coalition includes National Nurses United with 200,000 members, Chicago Teachers Union with 30,000 members, United Food and Commercial Workers, which is the UFCW Local 3000 with 50,000 members, United Electrical Workers, Indivisible, Association of Flight Attendants Communications Workers of America, which is the AFA, CWA, and dozens more. And there are, of course, events in all over Wisconsin. I love, here's the thing. I love that there's going to be such big events in Rhinelander and Hayward, Yep. River Falls, Eau Claire, of course. I love Baraboo, by the way. I do miss the. They used to have Clown College there. Did you ever go to the Clown College?
I don't know. The where?
The Clown College in Baraboo, Wisconsin. There used to be.
Oh yeah,
the Ringling Brothers.
Ringling Brothers Circus. Yes.
Not for nothing, but maybe I dated a guy who graduated from Clown College. I don't think I should brag about that. At any rate, no. So these are incredible events that are happening all over the country, and of course, these are the locations in Wisconsin.
Do they teach you like how to squeeze into a tiny car in Clown College? What do they do there?
They do the unicycle, the juggling, the endless handkerchiefs, the whole thing.
Feels like a scam, but I'm down.
I actually knew 2 clowns that graduated from college. Anyway,
All right.
long story.
So there's another piece of news that happened last week that nobody's going to probably hear about. I somehow get the American Prospect, which is an unbelievable news source out of DC. The AFL-CIO, kind of led by the flight attendants union, who Sarah Nelson is. We've talked about this woman before. She's kind of the ringleader of calling for a general strike and getting labor to kind of get on board with that in order to fight against the Trump regime. She was able to pass this thing in the AFL-CIO that is called it's Union Now, which is a strike fund that everyone pays into, which is a huge thing because it's hard to get different unions to work together. And so this Union Now strike fund allows allows unions from all over the country, if they're doing some sort of general strike activity, or if they're striking against Amazon, striking against Starbucks, they can kind of vote now to give money from one unions to other unions, and it makes things much easier. It makes striking much easier to do. Ben, can you kind of talk to us about, some of the other reasons why, strike funds are necessary in terms of being able to get what you want when you're in a union?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, in a country where 2/3 of us are paycheck to paycheck, that means missing a paycheck puts you in a world of hurt. So the way strike funds help to combat that is it gives people at least a little bit of leeway. Probably the most famous example of that being the Writers Guild during the most recent writers' strike in Hollywood. I want to say that was 22, maybe 23. Writers are known for living in some of the most expensive cities on the planet while making definitely not the most lucrative of pay. So the moment that those gigs go away, you need an ability to subsist and actually push back against what you're trying to earn there. And that's what these strike funds do, whether it be for food, medicine, rent, whatever the situation may be. And typically it's a collective effort. The difference, of course, being with America compared to a lot of other nations where the unions are almost countrywide, it's on a company by company basis versus a more, dare I say, socialist approach to it, where everybody just kind of chips in a little bit of cash were it to get to that point.
Yeah, I know that we're working with organizations throughout the Chicagoland area, Indivisible, of course, making sure that people have the supports that they need to the best of their ability. We'll be gathering with Indivisible. I've been working a lot with Indivisible Elk Grove Township, and I know that they've got on their website all the information about where we will be meeting. And look, I mean, Chicago is such a strong union town. This is I'm excited, and I'm concerned for folks who want to do something. There's going to be sort of this, fear, I think, of what's it going to look like. I mean, we haven't heard any. There's so much going on in the news, though. Maybe the good part is that people are focused on what's going on with Iran. We're worried about their gas prices. That perhaps there won't be any, massive amounts of law enforcement trying to scare us. Because do you remember that one King's rally where they were? I mean, there was a lot of fear mongering about how we were going to be violent, that we were all communists, and we were trying to destroy civilization. But anyway, everything turned out well. So I'm encouraging folks to show up and to do the economic blackout, to figure out a way to no work, no school, and no shopping, except for local businesses like Minocqua Brewing Company.
There we go. We're donating. Minocqua Brewing Company Madison is donating beer to an event happening at the Atwood Music Hall, where bands are donating everybody's donating their time, because we're not supposed to be working that day. We're donating beer, people are donating music, and everybody's showing up, and we're raising money for Voces de la Frontera, which is at the front lines of fighting against ICE all over the state of Wisconsin. So that's what's happening in Madison. One last thing I wanted to mention, Ben and Patty, the two more erudite folks than me in this panel, are going to start doing live videos in a week or two. And so if you are seeing this today on Substack Live or Facebook, YouTube, even Twitch, I would encourage you to subscribe to our Substack page. If you pay a few bucks to do that, you will get unique. Ben will be interviewing folks in Wisconsin, all over the country. Same with Patty, and it's going to be unique stuff that we're kind of up leveling it on our Substack page. So I encourage you to kind of dig deeper into the Minocqua Brewing Company Times if you want to stay even more informed. Patty.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you again to our, first of all, our sponsor, Minocqua Brewing Company, Pride Coffee Roasters, Source Solar, and Are You Really Winning? Ben Cominos, catch him on WHBY.com. Of course, they have a little fancy little app. And is there a song we're supposed to play? I think that remember closing song at the end? And MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. I see this in the notes. Am I supposed to play something? Or you guys know? No. That's it. All right. Thank
Don't you worry about it.
Have a great night, everybody. Love you, Lady B.